I need to raise awareness, and I think other fighters are starting to like speak out on this more. And
Good, let 'em.
there's momentum
Let 'em.
growing, and where it needs to grow to is a fighters union, and that's really the end solve problem.
I've
here.
always been an advocate for a fighters union, and I've spoken to elected officials and have asked them to do more to protect fighters. I'm talking about boxers primarily because I wasn't really covering the UFC at the time I had those conversations. But the point that I'm making to you, and I really don't cover it now, I'm just a fan of the sport. I'm just saying there's no disagreement there because I think all professional athletes should be protected to some degree. And anywhere where they're not protected, I think awareness needs to be raised about that. I don't disagree with that, y'all.
No, yeah, and I'm trying to get everyone on my team to slowly build the army to create the fighters union, and that's one of my main goals in this whole entire fight business. Is by the time I'm done with this sport to have established that. And we need people like you. We need people like GSP. Andre Ward, has talked about the fighters union.
Andre Ward is a great guy. He's a great ambassador for the sport of boxing.
We need all of these people to come and band
But
together.
I will tell you this though. I've never seen any promoter do the things for fighters that Dana White has done. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right now. Because again, boxing, oh please. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You don't even, please. There's a reason you're promoting yourself, Jake. There's a reason. Yeah. I don't see you with any of those boxing promoters. There's a reason for that. Because you know.
What have you seen Dana White do? Is it like something behind closed doors or?
Well, it's not. Well, first of all, some of it is behind closed doors without question. But secondly, and more importantly, I'm just comparing him to boxing promoters.
Gotcha.
I believe that boxing needs somebody like him to oversee the sport to make sure that the fans are invested. Because the more invested that they are, the more pressure can be applied to the very things that you're talking about. If the only time you're interested in boxing is when a pay-per-view event is going to come up, then guess what? You're never going to address those needs that you're talking about because out of sight, out of mind for every 3 or 4 months. But when you're getting it on a regular basis, with a multitude of events every year, okay, and the public is gravitating towards it, then what happens is then you can bring those issues up. More pressure will be applied because the public is invested even more so. And that's how you pull off what you're talking about. But if you're out of sight, out of mind for every 5, 6 months, you're never going to get a fighters union and stuff like that because people ain't thinking about it like that.
No, agreed. That's definitely one of the biggest problems in boxing is the diversification, the multiple belts, the fights not happening because of multiple promoters, having to download 5 different apps to watch each different fight every weekend, different prices. You don't know exactly what the product is that you're going to get. So I agree. Like if there needs to be one league in boxing, but it's damn near impossible. It would be impossible to pull that off, especially because the biggest fighters get paid so much. They get paid, and that's where the argument stems from. Where like the UFC,
it's every man for themselves.
Yeah, the UFC's heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou gets $600K. Meanwhile, Tyson Fury is making $32 million, and so you just really couldn't create that league. It's a bit. There's a ton of problems in combat.
But listen, the fact of the matter is you're doing a lot to fix them. Because again, I can't emphasize this enough. The fact that you don't need those promoters to have your own events is a huge thing. I've never seen anyone do it in the sport of boxing, ever. You're the first. Yeah. You're a pioneer. And so I think that people, when it comes to the sport of boxing, really, really, really need to listen and hear the kind of things that you have to say, because obviously you give a lot of thought to this stuff, and it's incredibly important. Even if we disagree with you, we have to applaud where your heart lies when it comes to this particular issue. And so I think it's very, very important, and that's why the only criticism I've ever given you is the fact that I want you in the ring with boxers, because listen, you can hurt people. You can hurt people. People don't need to be thinking they can just roll up on you, put on some gloves, and get into a squared circle against you. Yep. They're going to get themselves hurt, and we've seen it.
Well, we're trying to get a bag, though. Sometimes we're trying to...
Well, why can't you? Tell me why he can't get the bag.
Because the boxers won't get in there with
sometimes, all right, I'll say this. Sometimes some people talk and they really feel that they can beat this man, right? So sometimes it's like, okay, prove it. And that's where I feel like Jake will definitely take on any challenge. And a lot of people do talk it. A lot of people do think it. And it is a learning experience when they get in there. They learn.
This whole thing is Dana White's fault. When I knock out Anderson Silva, we can blame Dana White since we're speaking about him because he's the one. He's the one that said I wouldn't fight him. He's the one that said I wouldn't fight him. He's the one that said Anderson Silva's the GOAT.
Well, I got a better one.
This is Dana White's fault.
I don't think so, but let me tell you this. Everything's Dana White's fault. I mean,
it's all his fault.
You got diarrhea.
Everything.
Dana White's fault.
I let you talk
everything.